one of my favorite sayings that I recently just came across this. It was Chris Williamson. He says, "The magic you are looking for is in the work you are avoiding."
Detailers Roadmap Cruise Control, where we navigate the roadways of life, business, and everything in between. Hey guys, it's Kevin Davis from the Cruise Control Podcast. We're going to be here with Shad Stoker, who I've known for quite some time. It's going to be a lot of fun. Before I get started, don't forget to go to detailersroadmap.com, go to that little demo button, and see what we can do for you. We make kick-ass websites, do SEO services. We've got some awesome programs. If you're not a current Detailers Roadmap partner, we've got something for you. If you are, we've got something for you as well. So, hey, let's get started. Got his little bio here. Shad was born and raised in Salt Lake City, Utah, as if there's any other one. Shad was introduced to detailing 25 years ago at the age of 18 and as a lot tech at a local dealership. Shad has seen the industry from many different angles, spending the last 10 years on manufacturing and distribution side of the industry. Shad is an IDA. This is like anagrams alphabet soup coming up. Are you ready?
Yeah.
IDA, CD-SV, MC, WC, RIT, and the current president of International Detailing Association. So, hey, you're going to have to run through those acronyms when we get there. But, hey, man, thanks for coming on board. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me, man. It's always a pleasure chatting with the fine gentleman like yourself.
I don't know about that, but we'll see how this goes.
It is for me. Yeah. It's my pleasure.
I don't know about the fine gentleman part. We'll have to go ask my wife. But hey, you know the drill on this. Every episode we talk about that superhero backstory. You gave me like one sentence that basically says, kind of summarized 25 years in the detail industry. So let's walk through that from where you got started, what your career in detailing was like. I was a detailer, ran my own detail shop, and then got into the manufacturing and product side as well. And, we were having a conversation the other day. I saw Chris posted something about all detailers want to have their own product lines. And I was like, yeah, it's easy. All you have to do is this. And I wrote a paragraph like this long as a comment. And I didn't even get to all of it, right? So, but like, how did you get through that? Company's name's Budco, right? Like, so you've got, you're doing that now. That's primarily how I've known you through over the years. And so just kind of walk us through that. And then we want to talk about IDA and how all that happened and then get into that specifically.
Yeah, man. So, again, 25 years ago, 23, whatever I said, when I was 18, I, like a lot of detailers, needed the paycheck. So I didn't have any experience other than cleaning my own car, very rarely that it may be. So I had a friend that was I think he was a salesman at the dealership, and they needed a lot tech. So I went and got a job and kind of worked my way through the ranks of the, started as a new car lot tech, just prepping new cars for delivery, and worked my way through the detailing and reconditioning and everything, some body shop stuff, and bounced around in the industry through different companies, and had my own gig for a while. And then I got out of the industry for about 10 years and had a sales floor, had a marketing thing, was doing some merchant account stuff. And then, of course, like many of us, I don't want to say stuck, but I got drawn back into the industry.
It's like that scene from The Godfather or whatever that movie is, right? Like I just keep trying to get out and they just keep pulling me back in, right?
That's right. And it's funny because I hear so many people say that, I got out, or I tried to get out. And then I wanted, there's no getting out. Once it's in your blood, to some degree, you're stuck here. And I say that with the utmost respect. When I say stuck, it's a privilege to be in this industry. So, got back. There's Budco has actually been around for 35 years. They were started as a detail company, then transitioned, and were doing more heavy on the car wash side of things about 10 years ago when I linked up with them and partnered up with them. Came on to kind of rejuvenate and refocus on the detailing side of things, and it's kind of been a wrap ever since. So we manufacture some of our own products in-house, mainly for the car wash side of things, but we do some detailing products. But we have so many amazing vendors that we work with. We haven't really extended our detail products that we manufacture just because we haven't seen a need. I've been on the manufacturing distribution side the last 10 years and just been focused on creating, what we tried to do when I came on is just really focus on the community, the detailing community in Utah as a whole, not try to sell products or try and push certain things. We just wanted to create a community and really, I hear this a lot that, we have a big event where we bring in 5 or 6 of our vendors every year. And every year they tell us how amazing the detail community in Utah is. It is not that we're better than anyone else, but we have created a really good culture to where the competition aspect is not as prevalent as I see in other markets. Like there is, for the most part, a lot of camaraderie and a lot of networking that happens between different detail shops. And our event that we just had 2 weeks ago, which is our open house we do every year, we actually had 168 detailers or some people that are in the detailing industry to some degree under the same roof, that were all competitors to some aspect of another, that spent the day together networking and learning together. So that's it, man. And that brings us to today. Got involved with the ID8 a few years ago, and that's really been a huge step for me.
Well, I want to talk about the competition. I want to talk about that camaraderie and community. What is it about Utah that drives that process, right? Like what is it that differentiates them? Because this is something, I mean, you and I have been in the industry long enough to know that that's the ego is the biggest challenge for this industry. And I think that ego is based on fear, low self-esteem, all of that. Like the problem with ego is it's typically just there to mask your low self-esteem, right, which we all have, right? Like every one of us have it. And so what is it about what the Utah detailing community has been able to do that's different than what other communities have been able to do?
Kevin, I'm going to try and say this as humbly as possible, but I genuinely feel like it is, how do I say it? It's us. It's what we've helped to, create and push in the industry. And it wasn't something that we invented. We didn't, invent the idea of camaraderie or networking. These are lessons that we adopted from our vendors, great brands that are in the industry that have been preaching it for years and years and years of let's work together. Let's not fight each other. We're stronger as one than we are independently. And we really took that message and ran with it. And we've really tried to be the leader in our market of showing people that they can thrive together, that there is enough for us all to eat. And there's even more so when we can work together, when we're not trying to cut each other's throat, or we're not trying to beat each other on price instead of each other's customers, instead working together to elevate the entire industry. I think that's the real, has been the real key here is us taking that lead from our vendors and from the industry leaders that have come before me, and showing people that it's okay to let your guard down and create a relationship with somebody that may be a competitor because they have something to offer you. People have far too often people have this give and take mentality. Oh, if I give, if I have to take and I have to give. No, you can give. It's give and receive. I'm going to give you, or I'm going to receive and give you in return. And I hate give and take. Give and receive is so much more applicable to this type of situation. But that's genuinely what I think that it's been.
Yeah, it's that quid pro quo, right? Like if I got to be able to, like, I just want to give, and not with any expectation, because then if you do it that way, then you're not really worried about whether or not you're going to get back, right? And I think it's totally fine that you can take credit for that as a company. What I want to do is let's lay out for. So let's say I'm in freaking Nebraska, right? You're going, or let's say Omaha. We can go hang out with Bob Eichelberg. From X-Flex, now Lake Country. But like, how does a detail shop like that begin to build their own community if they don't have a Budco organizing things for them? Like what kind of lessons, you talked about the lessons you've learned. So let's give them those lessons. How can they take those things and build that within their own community? Even if it's like 3 shops.
Yeah. Be the example. I mean, somebody telling you something is far less powerful than somebody showing you something. I don't learn by being told. I learn by being shown. My parents preached that to me forever growing up. But that's it. Be the example. If there's not a distributor or a common denominator to bring these different detail shops or companies together, then be that. Reach out there. You may get turned down 10 or 15 times, but if you keep at it, you'll find a shop that will be willing to spark up a relationship with you. And then use that to be the example. I started, for example, if I'm in Nebraska and I start a relationship with a tint shop that does a little bit of detailing down the road, and the people around me see us prospering together, then they're going to think, what are they? I want to know what they're doing, and then they get curious. We haven't, and that's what we've taken a very offhands approach. We haven't pushed it. We've just shown people what can happen when you get like-minded people together with the same goal, and that's just to elevate the industry, but also to make ourselves better. So that's it, man. Just be the change that you want to see.
Yeah, and I think that I know the rising tide lifts all ships, right? Like that's a very common phrase that's used, and it's really true. When I started Detailer's Helper, one of the main things that I had already learned in business for the 20 years before I started it was be Switzerland, right? Like, and I've maintained that throughout, and for whatever reason, people always want to try to bring me in on the drama. I don't do drama. Like, I don't watch drama, reality TV. I don't care about any of that crap. It just irritates me. But like, people say, well, what do you think about, so-and-so? I'm like, I like that guy. Well, I hate that guy. I'm like, I know you don't like that guy. I've known for the last 10 years that you don't like that guy. I don't really care that you don't like that guy. I like that guy. And so let's figure out a way for let's figure out a way. And so a lot of times I can try to be that bridge between people, but I've never understood, and I talk about it in terms of emotional energy. I've never understood putting out emotional energy to dislike someone, right? Like, what the chances of that someone has done something to you strongly enough to warrant you thinking about him all the time is just ridiculous.
No, you're just letting that person rent space in your head for free. Like, you're not gaining, and judgment is a huge thing for me. It's amazing. People have this false perception that if I judge somebody, if I say this, or if I think this about somebody, and I tell other people this about somebody, that's a reflection of that person. It's not. Your judgment on somebody is a reflection of you being a person that needs to judge, because how you feel about that person isn't accurate, but that does portray you as a person that needs to judge. So all your judgment does is make you look like a fool. And you may get a couple people to agree with you, but the people that matter, the people that the type of people that you want around you are not the people that are going to buy into that. Like you said, you stay Switzerland, man. Unless you screw me over, we're good. We're good until you do something that gives me a reason. Because I get that a lot, man. We're a distributor for many different brands, and being the president of the IDA, I hear a lot about the he said, she said, and this, that, and the other. It's just like, man, well, that doesn't, just because you feel that way doesn't mean that I have to feel that way. But your feelings are valid. That's great that you feel that way, but keep it to yourself. Like, what is it? I hear I've heard influential people that say negative things about the IDA, and then when I press them on, I'm like, well, tell me about that. Why do you feel that way? They don't have a reason. Well, if you don't have a reason a genuine reason to not like that person, then is that a reflection of them or you? So
yeah, I mean, 100%. And I always try to put it in the perspective of, if someone is being an a-hole, they have a story. Like, there is a reason. I mean, sometimes they're just a sociopath, but which is the case in our industry and out. But like, there is a story behind that action and that thought process that drives that person. I always want to, I do coaching and all that stuff. So I want to kind of be like, why are you acting the way that you do? Right. Like, what? And it's that old thing. Who hurt you?
Right.
Right?
Well, that's what's funny. And you alluded to it earlier, but people don't realize that when somebody does something that upsets you, again, it's not a reflection of them. All they're doing is holding up a mirror for you. They're giving you a situation to react to, and you're completely responsible for your reaction. Typically, when people do something that pisses you off, it's not because that action pisses you off. It's because it triggers an insecurity or an inefficiency or something that you identify with in yourself that you don't like. And instead of taking those moments, when I get pissed off, and this is, I'm 43 years old, and I haven't always had this mindset. It wasn't until about 8 years ago that I got really into personal development and healing myself, for lack of a better word, because that's what I used to do. But now when I get triggered, when somebody does something that pisses me off, the first thing I do after the emotion, first I get pissed off initially, then I step back and I say, well, what about that upset me? What did that trigger in me? Where internally is that coming from? Because there's something inside of you that identifies or is insecure about that, and that's the only reason why it comes up. So those now are teaching moments for me. Those are moments for me when I get upset, when somebody does something that pisses me off. Those are moments for me to introspect and figure out where I have deficiencies. And over the last 8 years, I'm a completely different person now than I was 8 years ago, to be completely candid with you.
Yeah, dude, I'm a different person now than I was 6 months ago. I mean,
There
that's
you
like,
go.
it's like,
There you go.
it's constant change. And I had a podcast earlier with a guy that's a very high level coach. This guy's worth a couple $100 million. And he's like he's the highest paid physician in Texas. But he's not a medical doctor. Like, it's this whole weird thing. But we were talking about, like, I want to make, and I'm 51, about to be 52. I want my 50s are going to be my best decade. That's my goal. Right. And people are like, dude, you're so old, or, whatever. I want, my 20s are my best. Dude, if I knew what I knew now in my 20s that I know now, I'd be a lot richer and a lot happier than I
Absolutely. Absolutely. Gosh, that's so funny. I was just having this conversation with Lars from Color Lock at lunch. But if you knew what you knew now, here's the thing. And Lars actually said this to me, and it really resonated with me. If you knew what you knew, like, we have to go through this process, right? In order to gain the maturity to utilize these things. Because I said the same thing. I said, man, if I knew what I knew 20 years ago, I would be leaps and bounds. He's like, well, hold on here. Because would you have, or would you have squandered that? Right? Because I didn't know how to utilize it. I wasn't emotionally mature enough to really utilize the knowledge that I had. Yeah. So, man, we have to keep growing. Like you said, you stay in place, and it's like quicksand. You gotta continue to grow and evolve and not reinvent yourself, but improve yourself constantly.
I mean, sometimes it's reinvention. It just depends on where you're at and kind of what you do and how you progress over time. But as they say, right, youth is wasted on the young.
That's right. That is right. Yeah.
But I was just thinking about, we did a kind of visionary series on this podcast, and I had 5 of my really good friends on here that are all extremely successful business people, right? And I've gotten really close to a couple of them. But today we were talking about, with that particular podcast guest, we were talking about, you are who you surround yourself with. And I was thinking about this in terms of the detail industry, right? It's like this group think mob mentality that the industry has that I wish that we could stop. Like, as the IDA president, I know you have ultimate power to fix this, so I'm not sure why you haven't already. But
let me flip that switch real quick and just
yeah, I'm kidding. But it's like, what his point was. Okay, so give you an example. One of my good friends, Marcus Collius, who's on there, he's my business coach of mine. We're going to get ready to do some travel. We're going to do some business together. But so this guy exited his supplement company for a couple $100 million. Okay. So I want to hang out with guys that have exited a company at $200 million, right? Like, because of their mindset, their family, their fitness, all of these things are things that I want to emulate. I don't want to hang out with the dude that has been broke, is broke, and wants to be broke, and not that there's, different situations happen to get there. But we were talking about surrounding yourself with the people that you want to be with, and that effect that it has. So if I'm surrounding myself with people like Marcus versus people that aren't like that, then I'm going to be better for that. And it seems, and I want to get your take on this, but it seems like in the industry, we get on one of the, these Facebook groups are the worst. I left them probably 3 years into my Detailer's Helper business. But this group think everyone's miserable, let's make everyone miserable mentality that happens. I don't know why. First of all, I'd be interested to know why you think that's happening and has been a consistent cancer in the industry, in my opinion. My opinion only, not the opinion of Detailer's Roadmap, blah, blah, blah. But and then why does it continue to perpetuate?
So I'll tell you, my belief.
And that was a huge question, by the way.
No,
I'm
taking notes. So I think, in my opinion, it is going back to what we were just talking about. It's people's own insecurities, right? Are you familiar with what? I'm sure you've heard this analogy before, but crabs. If you put 100 crabs in a bucket or 5 crabs in a bucket, and one of those little guys gets his claw up and starts to pull himself out, all the other 4 or however many crabs are in there are going to do everything they can to pull his butt back down.
Yeah.
They will not let. You ever wonder why crabs don't ever escape? That's why. They won't let each other escape. And I don't know why crabs do that, but it's the same mentality. If this guy gets out, then it makes me, it's just like alcoholics, man. And I know this because both my parents were heavy addicts and alcoholics. I come from, a terrible upbringing, but, I love my parents, who both passed, but,
mine too, by the way.
That's it, man. Yeah. Well, that's, that's it, man. If everyone around me is in a crappy situation, if I'm being able to pull everyone else down, it makes my insufficiencies look less apparent, right? So just like going back to your point, surround yourself with the people that you want. If you have a negative mindset and don't have the capacity to grow and build, you want to surround yourself with people that are going to make you feel comfortable being. Is this a PG rated show?
Say whatever you want.
Okay.
Say whatever you want, dude. Chris,
yeah.
Chris Giovanni says the F word every podcast we do about 100,000 times. So you're good to go.
I should have known that. Yeah. So that's it, man. They surround themselves with shitheads because it makes them feel better about being a shithead, right? But a lot of people follow, unfortunately, because they're not secure enough to step out. Most people don't push their boundaries enough. And when I say that, you only have to push your boundaries a little bit. When you get out of your comfort zone just a little bit, that makes your comfort zone that much bigger. And then you just do it in little increments until your comfort zone is big enough for you to do these big things. Mm-hmm. But the moment you do that, the moment you step out of that comfort zone and this asshole tells you, oh man, you can't do that, or, is the crab that pulls you down, instead of being like, no, man, I'm going to try again, or no, you're wrong. We say, oh man, that was uncomfortable. So I don't want that feeling. I don't want that feeling of judgment again, not realizing that his judgment is a reflection of him and not me. That's what it is, man. We a lot of people keep or drag people down because it makes themselves feel better about the shit that they're not doing, about their own insufficiencies and their own insecurities. If you are in a group like that, if you surround yourself with people like that, you either need to accept that where you are is where you're going to be always, or you need to get the fuck away. Mm-hmm. And like you said, the people you surround yourself with, the 5 people, I know you've heard this before, but you are the equivalent of the 5 people you surround yourself with. The problem is most people think that has to be the 5 people around you right now, the family members. No, you can. That is the people that you surround yourself with in listening to podcasts, or what really was a transformation moment for me is I quit being a tight ass and I invested into a coaching group, and it was I think it was like $49. A guy named John Malott changed my life. It was like $49 a month, but it put me with like-minded people that were just on that kind of next level. And then slowly, now I pay I'm sure you do too. I pay a whole lot of money for,
I pay a hell lot more than $49 a month.
Right. This is 8 years ago.
Yeah,
but that's what it was. Is I saw people doing what I wanted to do, and instead of looking over there, looking at the grass that was greener on the other side, and hoping that one day that happened, I made the choice. I restructured my budget. I found the $49 that I didn't really have at the time every month, and I joined. And then once I joined, I actually followed up and went to the coaching sessions. That's the thing, is a lot of people will invest, but then they won't show up again because of their own insecurities. They're worried about being judged by others. So I just went and I just shut my mouth. I watched a few of the coaching sessions, and I just kept quiet until I felt comfortable enough to start speaking up. And then I started to really gain value. But that was it. Just putting myself around better people that were just a little bit better, that were just, on that next rung up. You don't have to go from the bottom rung to the top rung in one fell swoop. Go rung by rung. You know what I mean? Like you eat an elephant one bite at a time. That's the that's it, man. Insecurity is what holds most people back.
Yeah, and it's the love of drama, and I like your mentality. The crab analogy is really perfect for what's happening in a big part of the detailing industry, and I assume the tent and PPF. And the thing that I had been in the corporate world. My degrees are in exercise physiology and business. So detailing I was a detailer, owned my own detail shop, but until I started Detailer's Helper, I really was involved in the industry. And granted, this is like 2012, right? So we're 12 years removed, and it's quite a bit different than it. And I've had this conversation with guys like yourself and Rennie and all of my friends that we've been kind of the OGs back in that day. And we're not, guys like Mel Craig that have been it for 35 years. Those are the real OGs, and Claudius Harris out of California and those guys. But just, it has transformed so much in that amount of time that it's been really crazy to see. But I can't imagine that plumbers, electrician, and HVACs guys, maybe they are, but I can't imagine that they're on their own Facebook groups yelling at each other and trying to pull each other. Maybe they are. I mean, I don't know, but it seems
interesting fact. So the IDA, obviously, we have a management company that we pay that helps us with the back end stuff. People, for some reason, people think that our management company is who does the work, and they don't. They're there. They are there. They don't make the decisions. They are there to help us facilitate what we as members want. They basically fill out the paperwork and do the checks and balances, things like that. So our management company actually has, I think, over 80 or 100 different associations in different industries.
Okay.
And I've asked each one of the employees that are involved with the IDA independently, I say, do you deal with the same drama in other industries that you do with the IDA? It is an unequivocal no in every situation. It is very unique. And I'm not saying that, no, there's no HVAC or anyone that I don't think they are a management company for any HVAC. So I don't know if there are some skills trades that are under that, but it is, for the most part, from what I understand, pretty unique to the detailing industry. And I don't know if it's just because we are so damn passionate about what we do or what it is, man. But I wish I had an answer, because it is something that I think needs to change. I think it has started to change. I feel like we're separating on two fronts, where we have a lot of people that are getting better and we have a lot of people that are getting worse. So instead of all of us kind of being shitheads in the middle, now we have really, really bad assholes, and we have, people that are elevating and actually doing the right things. I think that separation is getting bigger, but it creates a unique set of challenges because now you have some really, really, really shitty people.
Yeah, and I think that the delineation is getting stronger too between, and I've been saying this since I started all this, but it's like, the difference between a detailer and a business owner that owns detail shops, right? I did, and on this podcast, we've had so many of these guys, but like 12 years ago, there weren't a lot of these, 6+, 7+, 8-figure detail intent and PPF shops. Now we have more of them, right? So that elevates the whole industry as a whole. But what I wish the rest of the industry would do is, rather than what we've been talking about, put those guys down and girls down, and actually say, what the hell are they doing that I'm not doing? That's all it takes, is to, first of all, the other thing is I got off social media about 3 months ago from a personal standpoint. Like, I don't scroll. So I get on, I post and ghost, and then I go right to my business pages, right? It literally it rewired my brain in a matter of like 2 weeks. I'm more creative. I can read more attentively. I'm happier, more content, have more joy, just from taking that influence out. When I first, and I said this on a podcast with Chris, but the first week, how your phone tells you how much time you're spending on different things? I saved 11 hours.
Wow.
And I think if you really took a look at the amount of time that you spend on that stuff, just doom scrolling and all that kind of stuff. And with Marcus, who's my business coach also, we talked about the exponential, like you get an exponential or a factor, right? So that 11 hours, when you tie it into all the other stuff, you're probably getting more like 30 hours back of creativity and thought process and positivity and all those, versus 33 hours of negativity, wasted time, all of that stuff. So that's something. But my point is, like, you don't have to get off social media. But if you're spending 10 hours a week on detailing groups, imagine that's 40 hours a month. What could your business look like if you spent 40 hours a month doing content, even doing sales, writing postcards, shooting video? Like, it's just so easy to take that 10 hours and put it to use.
Yep, 100%. It's funny because one of the coaching programs that I'm in is a guy named Rory Vader that wrote a book on procrastination. And I can't remember the exact term. There's 3 types of procrastination. One of them is, I think it's like active procrastination. And that's what it is. When you're scrolling, what you're doing is you're avoiding all the things that you should or could be doing, but it makes you feel kind of productive because you're still getting kind of dopamine hits, and I'm doing research, I'm looking at this, I'm looking at that, I'm learning in the Facebook groups, but all you're doing is procrastinating. You're giving yourself an excuse as to why you can stay away from doing that hard thing or that scary thing that you should be doing in your business. And that's the unfortunate thing is people, it's a whole hell of a lot easier to scroll and waste time than it is to step out of your comfort zone and do that thing that you're avoiding. One of my favorite sayings that I recently just came across this, it was Chris Williamson. He says, the magic that you are looking for is in the work you are avoiding.
Hey, you know that little thing on your phone when you search and you say business near me? Well, people aren't finding you when they search for ceramic coating near me, detailing near me, tint shop near me, PPF shop near me. They're not finding you as well as they should, or they're not finding you in the areas that you'd like to. Detailer's Roadmap has a solution. I want to introduce our new Google Business and Maps Accelerator. We have got this great new program that not only gives you an opportunity to do some search engine optimization, SEO, but in a very specific way that is designed to be map friendly, Google business friendly, and in order to get you more leads in areas that you're currently in and areas that you also want to target that may be slightly out of your own area. So go to detailersroadmap.com, use that little schedule a demo button at the top, and tell them in that form that you want to do the Google Business and Maps Accelerator program. Take a look at that. It's very cost effective and a very entry level price, and it's awesome. I love that. Yep.
Dude, everything, I want this, I want that. Oh, if only I could do this, if only I could do that. All you have to do is the work that you're avoiding. What you're avoiding on social media, what you're avoiding by being on there, you're avoiding the work that where the magic is behind that. So that's it, man. I think a lot of it is just people, like I said, it's a lot easier and a lot less scary to be on a Facebook group giving your 2 cents than it is on reading the book or investing into learning about business. Or I love what you said earlier. I hate when people come in and they're even a one-man shop and they're like, oh, I'm a detailer. No, you're not a detailer. You are a business owner that owns a detailing business as a service. You got to get out of that detailer mindset. Not there's anything wrong with detailers. I love detailers. I am a detailer. They are the hardest working, most passionate industry in the world, in my opinion. But you have to evolve. You have to take on the mentality of a business owner, because then you can create opportunities for other people to become detailers like you were and evolve from there. So
unless you want to be a detailer, and
right.
I've said that on the podcast a few times that it's, not everybody needs to be a 7-figure shop or an 8-figure shop or whatever there really is no limit. But like, if you're comfortable, stop comparing yourself to, right? If you're comfortable with, if you can feed your family, pay your bills, and go on vacation every once in a while, and that makes you happy, or buy your pickup or car or whatever you want, that's totally fine. Like, that's just lean into that and do that, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I'll tell you, it's I agree with that 100%, Kevin. But I'll tell you, I feel most people use that as a veil to protect themselves from the discomfort. Like, really, and I'm not saying that you have to be money hungry, but who doesn't want more? And I'm not saying that you need, again, I had this conversation earlier. I want to be incredibly wealthy. I don't want to be wealthy so I can have a bunch of stuff. I want to be wealthy because if I have wealth, then I can help and teach people what I learned 8 years ago that changed my life. Because again, if I had an inkling of this 10 years before, or started this mindset shift or this self-development a little bit before, I'd be way far ahead. But where I grew up, where I come from, it wasn't an option. It was get a job, be a fry cook and just make ends meet, come up short every single month. That's what I grew up as. That was the opportunity to just survive. So it wasn't until I was 35 that I realized, man, I don't have to survive. I can thrive. I can do any goddamn thing that I want to if I'm willing to put in the work. And that's why I want to be wealthy, is because I want more people to understand that sooner, because it absolutely changed my life. And not just from a monetary standpoint, from a happiness standpoint. I am happier now. My relationship with my wife is better now than I ever imagined possible, because I am in complete control of my my reality, of my emotions, of whether I get pissed off or not, how I react or not, how long I stay mad. I still get mad, but it is a matter of being, stub my toe in the morning and being pissed off for 3 days because my toe hurts, or stub my toe and being pissed off for 30 seconds and then, man, we're back at it and life is good. But it was all a mentality shift, and learning how to rewire my brain. And but my point to that is I think everybody wants more, and that's okay if you have good intent with that. But a lot of people hide their insecurity of not wanting to have the discomfort of what it takes to have more by saying, I'm comfortable with this. I mean, I don't know that anybody should be comfortable just getting by. I'm not saying you should thrive to be a freaking multi-billionaire, but I think we all want to be comfortable And that does look differently for everyone. But I think a lot of people hide that insecurity or that fear, if you will, behind that veil. So.
Yeah, and I think to your point, one of the things that I talk about a lot about on this podcast and my other podcasts is if you're chasing money, you'll never make enough. But you're describing wealth, and I want to point out that it's easy to say, okay, Shad just wants wealth as in money. You mention happiness, contentment, joy, your relationship with your wife, like that is what true wealth actually looks like. And the finances are a part of it. They're a component of it, right?
Right.
I mean, in the conversation I had earlier, he was like, I've been rich or I've been poor and I've been rich. And I'll tell you right now, I will pick rich every single time. Right. Like that.
Right.
There's very few people that will say I'd rather be poor, because there is a certain amount of ease to your life whenever you have a little bit more on the plate.
100%. And I heard a similar saying, and I forget who it was. It was some influencer, but he said, same thing. I've been rich and I've been poor. I can tell you it's a lot better to cry in a Mercedes than it is to cry in a Honda. It's a lot more comfortable to cry in a Bentley than it is to cry in a Honda. But and you said it earlier, and we kind of skipped over it, but I can't remember exactly your statement. But if you help enough people, and I forget who says this, it was I forget his name, Jim Rome, I think. If you help enough people get what they want, then you will ultimately get what you want. And that's what I mean by wealth. I want to help a whole lot of people get what they want, find the life that they don't realize that they are capable of having, the fulfillment, the success, the happiness, the relationship. And by that, I will, coincidentally get what I'm after in life as well. And that is fulfillment. That is wealth. And you're right. Wealth is not just monetary for me. It is fulfillment. It is happiness.
Yeah. I'm sure people that are listening to this podcast have gotten totally tired of me telling this, but I have on my whiteboard the 3 goals for 2024 are have fun, serve others, and build a life, right? And under life, it has joy, gratitude, giving, all these praise, all these different things. But that's really what we're talking about. This episode kind of took a left turn, which is awesome. I love it because because I've seen some of your content and I know that you're really passionate about this. And so am I, right? This is what we do. But that's exactly what we're talking about. If you're serving others in a positive way, and I don't mean serving others because you've bandwagoned onto somebody else that has decided to hurt other people and you now are part of that posse, so to speak. I mean, genuinely serving others, serving your customers, serving your community, serving your family, serving your wife, your friends, etc. That will bring you the things that you want. And you're in control of that because you're putting that out into the world. And I'm not a woo-woo guy, right? Like, but I, there isn't Tony Robbins, and I actually have it on my board as well, which is where your energy, what is it? Where your energy flows, I got it right. Where your thoughts flow, where your thoughts go, your energy flows.
100%.
Right.
Yep, that's it.
So if you're thinking about, I should have just looked at it. But if you're in a negative space all the time, then you're filled with negative energy, which is then like it just derails your whole life, your relationships, your business, your creativity, all of those things.
Energy is real, man. People underestimate the validity of energy. It is real. And your thoughts, it all starts with your thoughts. You know what I mean? Your thoughts and your mindset dictate your actions, and your actions dictate your outcome. So it all starts internally with your thoughts. And when you're constantly negative, so we have this thing. There's 2 things called the reticular activating system and the I forget it. There's a bias. I forget the name of it. Anyway, but when you're constantly looking for negative things, you're going to find more negative things. Like something that I struggled with a lot was negative self-talk. You know what I mean? I would make a mistake and it was, you fucking idiot. How? Oh my God. And then once you say, oh my God, I'm an idiot, your reticular activating system and your I wish I could remember that bias. Anyway, it goes to work saying, oh my God, I got to validate that. I can't be wrong, right? Oh my God, you are an idiot. Look at, you did this. Oh my God, you are. So your brain goes to work subconsciously to validate that you are an idiot. So all day long, you're finding why you are an idiot. When it's all perspection, right? How you choose to look at something. So I'll give you an example I've used in the past. Like when I leave my house, I'm in my truck driving. I realize I forgot my wallet. I'm 5 minutes from my house. in the past, I'd be like, you idiot. How do you forget your wallet? You're such a moron. And then all day long it's, oh, you're a moron. Look at this. You did this. Now I use that as an opportunity to validate how awesome I am. Right. So when I realize I forgot my wallet, it's, man, you're such a genius. You realize now that you forgot your wallet instead of 30 minutes later when you're at work, you just saved yourself 35 minutes. You are so smart. And now all day long, my brain is, oh my gosh, you're awesome. You're awesome. You're awesome. Mindset is everything. When you get into a bad mental space, it's a downward spiral. You just find ways to validate that things are shitty. And it's the same with negativity. When everything is negative, or when you start with a negative mindset, then you're going to find more things that are negative. You're going to find more ways to validate that you're right.
Yeah, if you want an easy explanation of the reticulating activating system, the RAS. If I say, and you guys who are listening to this will thank me later, if I say most cars on the road are red, what will you see? You will see literally every red car that's out there. And I guarantee you, after you listen to this and hear me say that, on your way home and for the next few days, you will see every red car that's out
100%.
there, because our brain works that way. It wants that comfort. For me personally, one of the things I struggle with, I'm like a 8 or 9 out of 10 in my struggles with the things that I feel pretty confident with in my life. I have this like, oh crap, that's cash flow sensitive loop that goes in my head. And so I almost self-sabotage, because I'll say, well, sales are up 70% this month, but what's going to happen next month? Right? Because that's that negative talk. And what happens is you actually self-sabotage, because I could create my own reality and I can make decisions like, well, don't order that extra pallet because you want to save the $10,000 that it costs. Order it by the case because that's safer. Well, by the way, you pay 30% more by the case than you do by the pallet. So you automatically lose the 10 grand that you would have made by buying the pallet, right? So it's that kind of thing. And that all flows from your thought process.
100%. Just like what you said about red cars, and a way for people to understand that what Kevin is saying is 100% accurate. Think of the last new car that you bought. You bought it because you didn't see a lot of them. Like mine, I bought a white Chevy truck 2 years ago, and I swear to God, the day after I bought it, every light I pulled up to for the next 13 lights, there was a white Chevy, and I had never noticed them before, right? But that's it. Once your mind once you give your mind a target, that's what it's a lot easier for it to find. So when your mental state is the fastest and easiest way to get there. So instead of using those moments of negativity as a way to remain negative, use them as an opportunity to change your perspective, to turn it into positive. The term "fake it till you make it" I don't love, but try it a few times and see how you feel. And if you don't feel different, then abandon it. But I promise you, when you can change your perspective on negative situations, bring up Tony Robbins. He says, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. Everything is an opportunity for you to learn and grow and become better if you choose it. That's the thing that is, I think, taken out of the equation, is the fact that we all have autonomy to make the choice on what things that happen to us mean or don't mean. Negative things don't have to be negative if you choose not to. Everything that happens bad is a learning opportunity for me. And now I invite, without, hey, bring negative shit. But every time there's a challenge, I'm like, let's go, man. It's going to hurt now. But when I come out the other side of this, I'm going to be better and more equipped for the next time. So yeah, it's 100%. Mindset is so huge.
Yeah. One of the things that I've been working on is, if I think, okay, well, I wish I had something, like, just name whatever, I wish I could fly first class every time I fly. I fly first class a lot because I get it for free. But like, one of my goals is I want to have enough money that I can just buy first class tickets everywhere I fly, because, and that's a stupid goal for some people, but like, I'm doing 13 trips in the next 3 months. So there's a big difference between main cabin and first class when you're flying once every 7 or 8 days. Anyway, but what I talked to my coach about this, and one of the things that we worked on was, whenever I have a thought of I wish I had, I replace that with this phrase, have you noticed? And so let's say like, oh man, I wish I'm a big Magnum PI fan. So I'd love to have an 85, 86 308 GTS, right? Like that's that. And keep in mind, I do have a 65 Cobra that I built in my garage right now. So don't feel sorry for me that I don't have the Ferrari. But if I say, man, I wish I could have that, I don't ever, I'm not sure I can ever afford that. I would say, have you noticed that you have a 65 Cobra Shelby sitting in your garage right now that you built with your own two hands? Or, whatever about your house, for example. I wish I have an above ground pool that's dug into the ground with a deck over it. I wish I had the money to just turn that into an in-ground pool. Like that would be something I would love to do. But have you noticed that you spent about 100 hours this summer sitting out on that deck in front of the pool, and you got to go in at any time you want? Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's this,
100%.
It's the total reframe of the way you see the world. And you can do that with almost anything. You can do that with a person. You say, well, that person's kind of an asshole, but have you noticed that he's a really good dad? Or
right.
have you noticed that he's a successful business person, or he does this or whatever, right?
Yeah, 100%. And I think in the detailing industry, we can take a lesson from this, because one thing that we far do too much, going back to your earlier point, is we tear people down and we make success like almost a bad thing in a lot of cases. And I'll give, like you just said, I fly first class a lot, but you prefaced it with, but I get it for free. Why the fuck does it matter how you get it, Kevin? You're getting it because you put the work in. Whether you get it from free from the money you spend on your card or what, you put in the work to be able to fly first class however often you do. But I'll tell you, I see detailers or people in the detailing industry doing this far too much. They preface it because people that don't understand this, they're so quick to judge it. Oh man, Kevin's doing so good with his fucking belts that he can fly first. Yeah, he's doing so good, but he has many different things that he does, not just that one thing.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, the belts are not letting me fly first class.
No, man. But my point, hopefully one day maybe. Yeah, but you have many different things that you do.
Yeah, and right.
That's what we need to start doing, is we need to start making it more acceptable for people in this industry to be wildly successful and show that. Not brag about it. You're not like, man, I get to fly first class. You're saying, man, I worked my ass off and now I get to fly first class occasionally. Yeah. That's, kudos to you. That should be that should be the hill that we're trying to climb, and not the thing that it's like, I have to kind of underplay this so I don't look like a rich prick. You've put the hard work in to get that, and you should be able to flaunt that in a respectful way, but show people, look, this. Here's the thing is we can look at Kevin and say, man, because I fly first class occasionally too. We can look at Kevin and say, oh man, this guy has it made, or we can say, man, this guy has it made. That's what I want. It can be, he has it made, so he's an asshole, or he has it made, I want that. And now I see a guy in the detailing industry that's got it. So now I know it's possible.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to start doing is making being successful okay in the detailing industry, and not demolishing people when they show their success or when they talk about their success because we don't have it. That's one thing where I feel like we're a little bit behind in is tearing down people's success instead of using it as a focal point for us to get to, right? Kevin's done it, so now I know it can be done. There's a guy in the detailing industry that is living the life. Now he's the proof of concept. So now how do I get that? Kevin, tell me how to do that. That's what we need to start doing is looking at guys like you and saying, man, tell me how to do it. How do I fly first class? Instead of saying, oh man, this asshole is flying first class. So that's, yeah. It's.
I so appreciate you calling me out on that. And I appreciate the coaching as well. That's amazing. And I want to bring it back to what I said earlier, right? I'm talking about Marcus Collius, who has become a really good friend of mine and is my business coach. But you didn't hear me say, damn that guy for selling his company for $200 million. My statement, you could go back and listen to it. It should have been something like, I want to know how Marcus, from his mindset, the way he lives his life, how he takes care of his body, what his, spiritual life looks like, all of these things, and how he runs himself and his businesses. How do I learn from that in order to become my best version of what that could look like? Right. And it's funny because he and I are similar ages. He was starting his supplement companies at the age of 16 in his bedroom, while I was running at about the same age that I was. I had probably 3 businesses by this time. But then when we were in our 20s, he was running a supplement company in the same town that I was actually running multi-million-dollar health clubs. That was my career back in the day. And obviously our paths diverged. We didn't take the exact same path, but we each have, both of us have been married for a long time. Both of us have great families and all of that stuff. But all that to say, if you're looking at people's success in a way that you just want to find fault in it, it's a huge difference in what can I learn from that person. Like you and I both work out, right? Like you're a workout guy, I'm a workout guy. People make comments a lot about my physique, or most of the time it's some joke. But I work out 6 days a week, and I watch what I eat all the time. We were at this trade show this last weekend. The rest of the team is eating. We go to a Mexican restaurant. They're downing chips and queso. They ordered an appetizer that was literally French fries with carne asada on top of it. All this other stuff. And the guy comes by. That's not even the worst. I'm looking at that. He goes, "Oh, did you forget this?" And he pours hot white queso all over it. And my brain is like, "Oh my gosh." And I didn't have any of it. Because because I'm traveling so much, I had made the choice. Look, dude, you cannot recover 7 days at a time on your leanness and fitness and all that. If you eat like an a-hole, as my trainer says, if you eat like an asshole for 4 days at each time you travel, you're never, you're going to end up being 20 pounds heavier by the end. But all that to say, like, I put the work in and make those decisions. And so hopefully we can, by our physiques or whatever it looks like from the outside, we can inspire others to take those kind of actions, right?
100%. And that's what, discipline is such an underutilized resource to people, because most of us don't have it, but it's something, all the skills that we've talked about are things that you can build. Discipline is something you can build. You didn't start off with the discipline to be able to say no to those fries. You've built that discipline because you've put the work in, and you don't want to diminish that, or you don't want that to go to the wayside over a momentary moment of pleasure, right? Mm-hmm. So discipline, people, I hear it far too often. Oh, it must be nice. It must be nice to be able to go to the gym 6 days a week. Well, yeah, I didn't start 6 days a week. Yeah. I started with 1 day a week, 15 minutes. And then 3 weeks later, I did 2 days, and I slowly built my way up, and I made it a priority. I disciplined myself during the day to cut corners where I could. When I say cut corners, the bullshit time, the scrolling, things like that, mm-hmm. to make sure that I had the time at the end of the day to be able to go to the gym before I went home. So it's all a matter of discipline, and it's it's just people's lack of discipline. It's so easy to say, "Oh, I don't have the time to go to the gym. Must be nice to have the time." I don't have the time either. I'm as busy as anybody else. Yeah. I mean, hell, I'm giving 10 to 15 hours a week to the IDA on a voluntary basis for free. So on top of my regular, 60-hour work week. So I don't have the time either, but I make it a priority, and I discipline myself during the day to do my tasks as I need to, so I have time to go to the gym because it's a priority. But prioritize things, man. It's funny. I mean, it's people, they find excuses, right? They say, "Oh, well, I don't have the income that Kevin has, so I can't go hire a guy like Marcus to teach me how to be successful." No, but Kevin is paying Marcus, and you can get with Kevin and learn what Kevin's learned in his lifetime, and also what he's learning now. So you don't have to go from where you are to the top guy. Find those guys in between. Mm-hmm. And that's how you slowly build. That's how you slowly climb the ladder, man. I mean, just like eventually you're going to outgrow Marcus. Eventually you're going to need to go to the next successful guy to be your business mentor, because your success grows. So yeah, and I'm having lunch with one of the other guys when I go to Miami for the detailing summit. Right? Like, okay, so it was Peter Taunton, he was the guy that invented Snap Fitness. I don't know if you listened to that episode. Yeah. Great episode, yeah. Great guy. But I'm like, "Hey, Peter, can I come have lunch with you and just pick your brain?" And so I'm like, "All right, William, Laura, I need to have my session at this time so I can be available at least for this block." But it's making those decisions. I will say something about the discipline aspect of it. I am a bad traveler typically, and I don't like, Marcus would yell at me for using that bad language. But I typically will not have that level of discipline. But I made a decision before I left. Like, I literally travel. It's right over here. I travel with a lunchbox, and Patrick
from Detailers Roadmap took a picture of me at lunch, because here I am with my lunchbox open. They're eating pizza. I'm eating hard-boiled eggs out of my lunchbox, right? Like that's what I had for lunch. But I had made the decision that this is what my weekend was going to look like. And one of the reasons I didn't partake in the Mexican food is because I ate half of Chris's peanut butter cheesecake the night before at the steakhouse. So like it wasn't perfect, but like I couldn't do that 2 nights in a row. All that to say, one of the things that came out of that decision-making process was a huge confidence booster. When I got back on Sunday, I flew in at like 2 a.m. on Saturday night. I woke up Sunday morning, and usually in the morning you feel leaner, you don't feel but when you travel, you typically feel like crap, right? Like that day after you travel, you're like bloated, you're water filled and all that stuff. I don't know if everybody feels that way, but that's how I feel. I didn't have any of that. And so not only did I get the reward of knowing that I had the discipline to do it, but I got the physical reward of what I felt like after.
Dude, that is so huge what you just said. People, self-confidence is such a misunderstood premise, in my opinion. People look at self-confidence as, oh, the way you look or the way you feel about the way you look or how nice your body is or how pretty you are. That is not self-confidence. Self-confidence is having confidence in yourself that you're going to stick to your word. So when you say, I'm going to not do this on a trip, and then you get through that trip and don't do that, you've built your self-confidence. You've stuck to your word. People, and that's how you build self-confidence, is keeping your word to yourself. And a lot of people don't understand this premise. And one of the things, and I was the same way. So what I did to build my self-confidence on a very small level is I created one thing that I would do, that I said, I'm going to do this starting every morning. So every day I wake up and I have a kind of a journal that I've created from different parts of journals that I bought in the past. And I have a gratitude list. I have my goals. I have my priorities. I have 5 or 6 things that I do every day. But I just started with the gratitude list. I said, tomorrow morning, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to go to the bathroom, I'm going to go sit at my desk, and I'm going to write out 3 to 5 things that I'm grateful for. And after I did that for 2 or 3 weeks, my self-confidence started to grow because I was keeping my word to myself. I said, I'm going to do this, and no matter what, I did it. And that's what people don't do, is they don't. It's so easy. I read a book called The 4 Agreements, and that's one of the main things is be impeccable with your word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you tell somebody I'll be there at 4:30, be there at 4:30, unless you have a good reason not to be. If you say I'm going to do this task tomorrow, do it no matter what you have to do to get that done. If you say you're going to do something, do it. And that's how you grow bulletproof self-discipline. But you have to make it a priority. So that is, I love that, man. And I mean, it's growing in these little tiny increments is how you grow to be just an absolute monster like yourself in life. You know what I mean? Like you're killing it on so many fronts. Your health, your business, your social stuff. I mean, just your fulfillment, what you're giving back to the world in the form of your podcast. You're winning on all fronts, but you didn't start winning on all fronts. You slowly built that as you built yourself, and now you're wildly successful. And the cool thing is you're just barely, in my opinion, because I feel like I'm this way too, you're just barely getting started.
Mm-hmm.
Like you
100%.
said earlier, man, everything to this point has been just to get me to where I am now. And I'm just barely getting started. It's a brand new day tomorrow. So I can make tomorrow whatever the hell I want it to be if I'm willing to put in the work.
Mm-hmm. And
so kudos to you, man.
Thanks. I mean, I'm hoping I'm getting better all the time, but I talked a little bit the other day to a guy about this momentum thing, right? Like I'm not a huge sports fan anymore. I just don't take the time to spend doing it. But you watch college basketball, right? When you watch a college basketball, you can feel the momentum shift between teams at different points in the game, right? And I feel like right now that momentum in my life has shifted my direction. And so just like with the basketball team, it's my job to take that momentum and turn it, and not only maintain it, but turn it into a win, which, the win is long-term, right? I hope I drop dead at 120. My grandmother lived to be 105. Her mom was 103. So I feel pretty good about my genes. I'm going to fall off something, or something will fall on me based on what I do in my spare time. But one of the things you're talking about with self-confidence is actually, another word for that is integrity. And I probably talked about it on this podcast before too, but people often misunderstand that that integrity is what you said about being somewhere at 4:30. It is, but integrity it really starts back that whenever I told John that I was going to meet him at 4:30, I made myself a promise that I'm going to keep to John. And so that's the integrity piece. And that's really your gratitude journal and getting up early. And I love it must be nice, because it must be nice to get up at 4 a.m. for 25 years in order to work out every day. I don't have to do that now, but I don't have to do it now because I did it for 25 years. But like, there is no, it must be nice. I'm doing a talk sometime around SEMA, and I'm going to talk about this whole idea of self-made. There really is no such thing as being a self-made anything, because you have to learn along the way. If you think you're a self-made person, you really need to sit down and examine exactly how you got to where you are. I mean, I have thousands of people that have fed into my life or have done the opposite, which then spurred me to find people that would feed into my life. Like it's just like you just have to look at that whole thing. But integrity is doing what you say you're going to do for yourself. If you say you're going to work out, lay out your workout clothes the night before. That helps you have integrity with yourself, because you don't have integrity if you tell yourself you're going to do something and you choose not to. But anyway, what are you going to say?
I was just going to say, I want to push back on the self-made thing a little bit, because I love your premise. I love where your thought is, and I don't love the term self-made.
You're going to have to help me write this speech then.
Well, no, hear me out. I don't love the term self-made. But again, all these people that fed into you, all they did is presented information to you. It was up to you to decide that it was important and that you were willing to do the hard things to make it work. There's so many of us that don't do shit with their lives, that hear things like this but choose not to actually execute on the information. So 100%. It was still up to you to do the work. So I don't love self-made, but I love your premise there. But all we can do is present people with the information. It's up to them to pick it up and decide to adopt it and execute on it. And that's what you've done, is you've taken all those opportunities and you've made it a priority to execute on them. So it's still your hard work that has led to your success.
Well, full disclosure, I haven't taken all the opportunities, which is why I'm not as successful as I probably hope to be in the next 8 to 12 years, But I mean, that's actually, I went past that point, but it's actually a good point, because I can go back and look at things that were presented to me that I will say to myself, dude, if I had taken that advice, my path would have been different. Granted, to your point way earlier, everything that we have now and the kind of person that we are now is a direct result of all the people in our lives and the decisions that we've made since now. Right. So you can't live in the past. You have to live in now, because this is where we're working from.
100%. And it's when people say that, like, oh man, if I had just done this, then if you had just done that, then maybe not. Maybe if you had just done that, then maybe the next day you would have fallen off a cliff, because you would have been somewhere else than where you are today. Yeah. And I get this premise from speaking of Tony Robbins. Did you ever watch his Netflix I Am Not Your Guru?
Yeah, I really like that one.
Amazing.
That was good.
That was a game changer for me. I grew up, talking about my childhood. I grew up very, very challenging situation with my parents, and they both passed away. And I had resentment with them far beyond when they passed away. And it wasn't until I saw that special that I realized that all the resentments that I had, all the opportunities that I didn't have, all the hurt that they inflicted on me, all the trauma, that is as important as to why I am who I am today as all the good shit. Mm-hmm. So it's all perspective. You can think about all the things you didn't do, or you can be grateful, like you said earlier, focusing on what I have now. Or what was your term?
Have you noticed that?
Have you noticed that I am today where I am because of the decisions that I made? Who knows how where I'd be if I had taken that other decision? It may have been good in the moment, but then I may have got hit by a bus the next day because it put me somewhere that I shouldn't have been. Yeah. So it's all perspective. Choose to be grateful for. And when I talk about the gratitude journal, it's not just about being grateful for what you have now. Be grateful for the things that you're going to have in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Some days that's what it is. Some days it's I'm grateful for that I have leftovers. I don't have to go get lunch. Some days it's the wife was in a gracious mood, a giving mood the night before. Some days it's, hey man, in 10 years I'm going to be at this point. In 10 years I'm going to do this. At one point I'm going to have this. So you can be grateful. You can find something to be grateful for every day, no matter what your day before looks like. So it's all a matter of perspective. Perspective.
I and I don't want to belabor that point, but I like the idea of this being grateful for the things yet to come, right? Because you can say like, if my company's making X number of dollars, I can say I'm grateful that we had those $83,000 months for the last 4 months, because that means we're on our way to $1 million a year, right? We're finally going to get to that seven figure year. And so that's super important, because because that's part of your goal setting. Because if you have that on your goal, you can also show that you're grateful for it happening, and that continues to spur you along that way.
Absolutely.
Dude, this has been amazing. I do, let's talk about the IDA a little bit before we go, because this, kind of fits into all of it. There's still a lot of controversy. Like, I was early with the IDA way back when, it's Sherry and Kevin Halewood and all those guys. And I think Sherry's still with the organization, right? Sherry Hazard.
Cheryl Hazard.
Cheryl.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I screw up her name every time. So Cheryl is involved in that still, but like, it's kind of as the president, give me like the spiel, and we're not talking marketing. I'm talking about like down and dirty benefits of the IDA and being a part of it. Because I think a lot of people get confused. It's not an ASE certification like you're a mechanic, right? I think a lot of people try to and I don't know if it's from the IDA or it's people in the IDA or what, but I think they've tried to wrap that up as if it's that, because that's a whole different connotation for mechanics than something like the IDA does for detailers. And so kind of walk me through what that is, and also walk through your CDSV, which is, all of those things, MC, WT, RIT,
so
XYZ,
I'll tell you,
YMCA, whatever.
what the alphabet soup that you mentioned earlier, what that is those are all the certifications that IDA offers that I currently have. So okay. I am a certified detailer that's skills validated, marine or motorcraft certified, which is motorcycles, watercraft certified, and I'm a recognized industry trainer.
Okay.
So that's just all the different certifications I've done. So yeah, the IDA is they do certifications. They don't do trainings. ASE does trainings. We do not. We have education, and that is, that terminology is a lot to do with liability, but we don't necessarily do trainings. The certifications are to certify that you have the knowledge to do a detail at a professional level. And that's not to say that if you don't have the certification that you're not doing it. This is just to certify on paper that you have that credibility or that knowledge. The IDA for me, so real quick, one thing that I think is lost in translation is the actual tangible benefits that come with the IDA membership. I did on my president's letter a couple months ago, I tried to list out all the different ones that I was aware of and all the ones that I could find. And there were when I finished it, there were over 40 tangible benefits that you get with your IDA membership. Everything from, business plan resources to webinars to checklists, inventory management stuff, invoicing, like basically everything that you need to know to run your detail business successfully. I mean, I just talked to a shop today that is established and they've been running good for 5 or 6 years, and they don't even have a checklist of the things that they do on a detail. And they said, "Man, how do I create
no SOPs?"
No, yeah. And I said, they said, "How do I create that?" I said, "You don't have to. You're an IDA member. Go to the website. It's already listed. Now you can adapt that. You can evolve that. You can make it more in line with what you do. But the hard work is already done. It's there. Go and utilize it." Most people are under the premise or pitch this, and I hate, there's some great people that say it, but I hate this saying. It's not what you can get from the IDA. It's what you can give. Now, I don't agree with that. Now, I do agree that if you get involved and actually, utilize your membership that you can get, but that doesn't mean you have to go and dig trenches and actually do work to get out of your membership. So for $120 as an operator, which is 33 cents a day, when I came up, you couldn't make a payphone call for that.
Right.
So for 33 cents a day, you have over 40 tangible benefits, including like the benefit hub. A lot of people don't know about this. We have it's an IDA discount and rewards program that has discounts on thousands of major brands that you can save every day on. To give you an example, the president-elect Craig Brigham that's coming up as my vice president, last year he saved like $1,200 on his trip to MTE by utilizing the IDA Benefit Hub. So he paid for his membership for the next 10 years right there. I was on a call recently with the UK chapter, and I talked to him about this Benefit Hub that none of them had heard about. And why I was on that call, several of them got online, and one guy bought a TV, and one guy bought a smartwatch that he had been looking at for 6 months that he saved like $200 on. So that's just one, that's not the biggest benefit. That's just one example of a tangible benefit that you get with your membership. Also, Detailing Nearby, you get a free listing on Detailing Nearby, which is our consumer-facing website. That is a website that is designed to connect consumers of detailing with operators of detailing that are also IDA members. So that's still pretty new. So we're still rolling that out, but that is a way for you to actually get business in the future. If you get one job from that website, your membership is paid for the year. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you, above all, and this going back, this has been talked about a lot, it is the people, man. The real benefit is the people. But you have to get involved, and so one of my favorite sayings is, it was Edison said, opportunity is often missed because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work. I love that. When you sign up for an IDA membership, you spend your $120. When you get that envelope in the mail with your badge and with your IDA membership certification, there's not a magic bean in there. There's not a gold bar. That is just an opportunity for you to take the tangible benefits that are presented to you and actually do something with it. No, being an IDA member isn't going to flood your door with customers. No, but it's going to give you the knowledge. It has the potential to give you the knowledge and the opportunity to then build your business to be successful or to make your business more successful. But you still have to do the work. You have to go and search the website for the benefits that align with you that you can utilize and actually implement them. This isn't a magic bean. This isn't a get rich quick thing. This is an opportunity for you to shortcut your path to success, but you have to do the work. I'll give you a prime example. Like I have a trainer in the industry that we were a distributor for his company for years and years, and we were doing okay. We were selling a little bit of their product. I lined up with him. I met him and created a relationship with him through our connection in the IDA. Since that relationship, I have gained so much insight and knowledge and training from him that we now do hundreds of thousands of dollars in business with his company as a direct reflection of the relationship that I built with him in the IDA. Not as a distributor for his company, but our camaraderie in the IDA. Because when I went to him and I said, hey, I've got a question, and he saw that I was an IDA member, he's like, all right, this guy takes it seriously. And not that he wouldn't give that information to anybody else, but he was a little bit more free with it because he's like, all right, this guy takes it seriously. We've got common ground here. So let me go a little bit deeper with him. And it's impacted my business here tremendously. Just that one relationship. But ultimately the IDA is an opportunity. And for the money that it costs to be a member, I have not found a better resource in the world for you to fast track your success in the detailing industry as the IDA. But you have to use it. You have to get involved. When I say get involved, you have to say, hey, Shad, you're an IDA member. I've got some questions. Can you help me here? Hey, Kevin, we've got some common ground here. You have to do the legwork. You still have to reach out and develop these relationships. And you have to go and use the benefits, and you have to actually get on the website and figure out what the benefits are for you. And that's what I don't think. And to our discredit, one thing that we haven't done well in the IDA is we have not communicated what those benefits are and how to resource them. And we actually just recently started a new committee. It's the first new committee that's been formed in a long time. It's called the SOCOM committee, Social Media Committee. Barry Thill is actually heading up that committee. And the whole purpose of that is to show members all the different benefits of the IDA through our social media channels and how to access them, because there are so freaking many.
I love it. Yeah. And if for some reason you don't see the value in the IDA, just shut up about it. just like anything else. Like if you don't see the value in it, that's great. Like go do your thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And that's with, if you don't see the value in a particular product or person or whatever, I'm going to bring this back to what we started with, which is, it doesn't really help anybody if you're going to badmouth an organization. And, there's things that the ID does great. There's things that they haven't done so great, to your credit, like you just said. But it's an organization made up of people that are trying to do the best for an industry, right?
That's what people don't realize, is this is a group of volunteers. Yes, you pay a membership fee, and yes, we do have a management company that helps us facilitate what we're doing. But every decision made in the IDA is made by its members, by the people that are a part of it, that are on the committee, that are doing the work. So we are a member-driven organization, and everybody has the same opportunity to get on a committee and make change and make the IDA into what they see fit. But that's what we need, is people that are willing to step up and give a little bit of their time and, overcome these obstacles that we have. It's funny because I've gained so much by being on the different committee calls. I have learned so much about business. I have been able to foresee potholes in my business that I didn't see, because I heard about it on a committee call. So I have learned a ton on these volunteer committee calls. But it's a completely member-driven organization. So if you're a member and you don't like what the IDA is doing, it's your responsibility.
That's on you. It's on you to help. That's on you to help change it.
And to your point about people talking about the IDA, about anything, if you don't, at least inform yourself. If you're going to say something negative, at least have something to back that up. And I've recently had conversations where people, like I mentioned earlier, were talking negative about the IDA, and I pressed them. I said, "Why? Tell me what's behind that." "Oh, I don't know." "Well, they don't do this, this, and this, and this." Well, actually, they do those things. You just don't know that they do those things. So please either inform yourself or just keep your negative comments to yourself, because all you're doing is you're hurting a potential. So when some influential member of the industry says, "Oh, the IDA is shit, they're not good for anything," and little Steve, that's 19 years old, getting ready to start his detail business, here's this guy he looks up to say that, he says, "Oh man, the IDA is not, they're no good, I'm not going to join them." But that dude the IDA may be what that guy needs, and you've just taken that off the table for him because you gave your opinion, your uneducated opinion on something that you haven't taken the time to actually inform yourself about. So just know what you're talking about if you're going to talk bad about the IDA or anything else for that matter. Have something to back it up.
Yeah, because it's really easy to frame that. And whether it's the IDA or anything else, like you just said, that conversation can very easily go as, "Look, I investigated the IDA. It's not a fit for me. However, I would tell you to investigate it for yourself. It may be a good fit for you." Right? Like it's just a simple change instead of, and so it's everything we've been talking about for the last hour and 15 minutes.
And the idea doesn't have to be, absolutely. And the idea doesn't have to be a permanent fixture in your life. I will, as long as I'm in the industry, I'll be an IDA member, because I continue to develop and grow relationships and create new relationships through my interactions in the IDA. But the IDA can be a stepping stone for you. You know what I mean? But given the opportunity, is the IDA for everyone? No, it may not be. If you know everything, if you already have the market figured out, then it may not be for you. But what you can do is you can get involved and you can actually teach. I know you're familiar with the saying, you can, how does it go? Basically, you can learn more by teaching than you can by doing. So if you go in and teach something, you can learn something. So give a little bit. At least give a little bit of your time and see if the IDA is actually for you or not before you make a rash judgment. And at least don't vilify the association that is. It's a bunch of volunteers. All we're trying to do is elevate. We're not the police of the industry. We're not here to say this person's bad or that person's bad. We are here to elevate the entire industry. That's our sole goal at the IDA, is to make the industry better for everyone, whether you're in the IDA or not. So give it a shot. Reach out to somebody and at least get the information to make a educated decision before you just take it off the table. Because it has been transformational for me, and some of my best friends in the world, I have met and grown relationships through our connection in the IDA.
And what's the website?
It's the-ida.com to become a member. And like I said, it's 100, and I don't want to get too far ahead, but we're in the process of potentially maybe doing a month-to-month option. So you might be able to check it out on a very, very low-cost basis and see what it's about. But again, if you do, I don't care if you spend $12 for it, if you spend $120 for it, do the work to extract what you can from it. There's hundreds of webinars. There's hundreds of forums. I mean, there's so much educational information and tangible benefits, but you have to actually do the work to utilize and execute on those things. We're not going to do it for you.
That's very well said. That's the best explanation I've gotten in 14 plus years. So good job.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we got to that because it's something we need to talk about. Tell me how people find out more information about you. I know I follow you on TikTok. I've got you on there, so learn more about Budco, your business, what you're doing personally, all of those things. Where do we find you?
So my social media handles are simple. They're Shad Stoker on every platform. It's SHAD. Don't ask me why. That's why they, my parents were unique individuals. But
I decided that Shad Stoker is like the name of a bull rider. When I was looking at your name today, that's like, because when you go to the rodeo, which I'm a big rodeo fan, and my family is big rodeos, but like Shad Stoker is something you would definitely see on the bull rider scoreboard, just so you can feel confident in that.
I probably
there you go. He's got his boots
all day, every day. It's, unless I have to not wear boots, that's I love my cowboy boots. So Shad Stoker on all platforms. Reach out to me, about IDA related or non-IDA. I love talking to people. I love talking about personal development and about the benefits of the IDA. And, if you don't want to talk about the IDA, hit me up and just, we can connect on a personal level. It's ebudco.com is the website. Socials are just Budco on all platforms, on Facebook and Instagram.
And that's BUDDCO. So EBUDDCO.
Yep, for the website. Yeah, for the website. We're a distributor. So that's what we do is we sell the products, but we teach what we do above. I feel like some of our competitors is we actually take the time to show people how to properly utilize the different products that we sell in their business. And we do help them with some business stuff as well. So, man, that's me in a nutshell.
That's awesome, brother. This has been great. I'm glad it went the direction it did. I always say that this is just like us having a conversation. And I love that a conversation that we record would be one that we would literally have just sitting down for lunch for the first time. So I really appreciate your honesty, your drive, your compliments, for sure. And so I really appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Oh, thank you, man. This has been an absolute pleasure. Great conversation. I've taken so many notes. I've learned so many things. Kevin, you're an absolute stud, man. What you do just in life, but for men and in the industry, I'm definitely grateful that you're a part of this industry. It's guys like you that are going to continue to push this industry forward. So keep killing it, man, and keep flying first class.
Head over to detailersroadmap.com and get your one-stop success solution today.